Hello. I am having another day where I am filming later than usual, and last night's video went out quite late, which I would like to avoid, so I am jumping straight into my stitching project today. I am going to try to make a sashiko thimble, or a thimble that I can use for sashiko. I just really enjoyed it when I did it the other day, so I am inspired to sort of keep going with that kind of stitching, but I found the thimble that I was using to be quite unfriendly, so I am just going to have a go at making one. I am just trying things out. I don't know if this project is going to work, but all of this is things that I have had lying around in my craft room. So I have this elastic here. I don't know what kind of elastic this is. I don't even remember buying it, but it just happens to fit really nicely into this thingy-mabob. I don't know what these things are called, but I will possibly use this for the ring part. We shall see. And I've got a scrap of leather here that I found in my stash. I've got some strong sewing thread. I have some leather needles that I bought a very long time ago, and I'm pretty sure I have never used them. I don't know if I will actually need them, but can you see how the ends of them are kind of these like chiseled triangular points? So we shall see if actually, you know, I can just test that now. If I just pick one, if it wants to come out. It doesn't want to come out. Do I have to take it out the bottom? Come on, here we go. Let's see. That pushes through pretty easily, so I was wondering if I would need to use an awl to poke holes, which will take longer, but again, you need to use the pointy end to poke through. But I don't know if using an awl actually, I don't know if it makes this actually any easier. No, I don't think poking with an awl makes things easier and makes sewing easier in this project, so I am just going to go for using this needle. Where can I poke you that I won't lose you? Just stab. Okay, alright. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to cut a couple of circles. The sashiko thimble that I'm sort of trying to make is going to be a round thing that sits down here. So I'm going to cut a couple of circles. Again, I am sort of just semi-making this up. I think I watched one video of someone making their own thimble a long time ago, and I haven't tried to find it again, and I'm just sort of going off my memory of how that was made. I have this handy little circle cutting gadget which I bought from Daiso, so it was only like $3 or however much Daiso charges for these products, but I haven't used it very often. I've only used it to cut paper really, so I hope that hasn't blunted the blade too much. It does come with spare blades in there, and the measurements at the top up here give you the radius of the circle that you're cutting, and the measurements down here tell you the diameter of what you are cutting, which is pretty handy. I have no idea how big to make this. I'm just guessing. Let's go with a 4 centimeter diameter and see how that goes. So just tighten that up so it doesn't move. And oh, I had this red pen here because originally I was going to draw a circle and then cut around it, and then I remembered that I had this handy dandy little tool. But if I was going to draw the circle and cut around it, I still have my Mathomat from my school days, which has come in pretty handy. And when I was a bookbinder, we always used red markers to mark leather just because it showed up on black. I don't know if you can see that line, but I can see it pretty clearly. So yeah, whenever we needed to mark leather, we used a red marker. Anyway, I don't need that, and I don't need this unless this circle cutter isn't friendly to me. So I'm just going to poke this pin in and cut away. So the potentially tricky thing about using this to cut leather is because it's so soft, there's a possibility that it will sort of like warp out of shape. Oh, I've cut that really close to the edge of the leather there. I think it'll be fine. Yes, not perfect because I didn't do the best job of cutting. What do I have in my cup? Belinda Carlisle. Here's my X-Acto. I put the blade in upside down just to store it safely when I'm not using it, because if this X-Acto came with a cap, then it has been lost in time. And actually this isn't my knife. I pinched it from my partner and it's mine now. And it didn't really matter on this leather piece where, like, what bit of leather I used. I don't need this to be pretty, so I don't mind that it has that little mark in it. I actually should have felt to see if any part of this leather is stiffer than any other. I actually feel like this end is a little bit stiffer than that end, but oh well. But now I can sort of use this to guesstimate where I should put my next one, so that I'm not cutting off the edge like I did before. Yeah, that should be fine. I am doing something with this thimble that I am making up that I'm pretty sure wasn't part of whatever that video tutorial was that I watched years ago. But I am hoping it just sort of helps shape the thimble in a way that will make it easier to use. Which way does this blade cap go? There. Alright. Don't need that anymore. And let me just cut this. Dull blade on this knife, but that's okay. Alright, so just want to check if I just grab a needle, and so I have one of these leather side up and one of these suede side up. If I just sort of push the back of a needle against one, it catches better on the suede side, so I want the suede side out. Okay, and then let's see, we'll do suede side out all the way around. So the thing that's kind of experimental about this is that I want it to be like slightly bowl bowl shaped, so a little bit concave, yeah. Because when I was stitching before, the needle wasn't poking my hand just straight perpendicularly at right angles, it was kind of pointing downwards. So my hope is that if I can make this a bowl shape instead of flat, and the needle does slip a little bit, hopefully the slight curve that I am hoping to put on this will help it not slip off and stab me. But first I should get some of this leather in here. So how I am going to do that is, if I fold this in half, you know what, I feel like this blade isn't quite sharp enough for this leather, so I am going to grab instead this, which is probably also dull. You can see that the point of it has chipped off, but I kind of still feel like it will be sharper than the X-Acto, and I am just going to cut a slit in this. It hasn't cut through. One thing that I learned when I was a bookbinder is that it is better to make lots of cuts at not too hard a pressure, instead of doing one cut, pressing down really hard. For one thing, it's not that doing that isn't the best for your wrist ergonomically, and for another, if you do that, because of the pressure that you're putting on it, you're giving it more of a chance to slip. Whereas if you're pressing lightly, then there is less of a chance that there will be any slippage. Let me see. I have a feeling that that second one isn't going to be quite wide enough. Alright, let's see if I can, let's see if it is wide enough to get, nope, that's a wee bit short. Didn't need to be too much wider. This is the widest elastic that I had in my stash, and I think actually this ribbing that's going on with it is going to help it not slip out of place on this patch. So that bit's done. Cut it a lot bigger than what I need it to be for now. That can go. Okay, and then the next thing that I wanted to try is if I can cut, need that knife back, if I can cut a little wedge. Where is the best place to put the wedge? Actually, I know that this elastic fits here now. I'm going to take it out and hopefully it won't be too hard to slip back in there when I need it. But let's put the wedge here. Let's try to take my own advice and do many little cuts. That's not quite centered in between those slits, but it doesn't really matter. Hope that my head isn't coming down and blocking the camera. It's really hard to see with this black leather. There we go. That little bit doesn't matter. Alright. So the idea is that if I can sew it so that it does that, I think I need a wedge on the other side actually as well, because you could see if I join that like that, it isn't really forming a bowl shape, but if I can maybe wedge it on the other side, let's put them together so that my wedges are the same. I'm going to make sure I'll cut it up this way because I want to make sure that I'm not going to be slicing my slits. I feel like I'm cutting these wedges a bit on the wide side, but oh well, this is all an experiment. We are trying things out. Yep, so the idea is that I sew the two circles together while closing that gap. I am just going to grab some clips. That will be helpful. So I got my Wonder clips here, and I have wide ones and narrow ones, and of course I'm going to grab some narrow ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to be fiddly. I don't want the wedges to be together. So even though I cut them together on the discs, I feel like that will be a weak spot if I join it like that. So what I'm hoping to do is join it like this and attach it to that corner. This is going to be rather fiddly, so I am going to hush hush while I try to get this to do what I want it to. Try this instead. I just realized that I was shaping my bowl to go in this way, but my slits are here, so I actually need it to curve around the other way, so I should do these ones first. On the I should curve inwards towards the circle that doesn't have the slits for my ring. So I'm going to line up one edge of that wedge with roughly the middle in between the wedges on the other one. Clip other side. Clip. Line up this side. This side. I totally cut those wedges too big. They actually don't need to perfectly line up, because if I have it slightly open like that, I don't think that's really gonna affect things too much. It just means that the bowl isn't going to be as deep, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Well, I have it all clipped, but I haven't given myself much room to do the actual sewing. So I think when I start, I'll have to, I'll have to remove one of the clips and kind of just try to hold things in place. I think I've also realized as well that the wedges that I cut out of the piece of leather that was going to be on the outside, they could have been, or they should have been, a bit wider than the wedges that I cut on the inside. No, wrong way around. They should have been narrower than the wedges that I cut on the inside circle, because they don't need to curve quite as much, because they need to sit outside. They're kind of like a bigger bowl inside a smaller bowl. Anyway, whatever, it's working. Let's get some thread. I'd already checked, and my handy new needle threader tool from my Advent doesn't fit in this tiny itty bitty hole, so I've got to use my needle threader. still too big for the small side. I keep having to use the big side. Let's get my thread in the slot in the right spot. Beautiful. Oh, I've got so many bits and pieces around me now. And I am going to tie a knot in this one. I'm using the heavy duty thread again, even though it is not as nice to hand stitch with, just because I want the security of a stronger thread. Hopefully it's not too annoying. Alright, well, if we start just in between the two layers, what kind of stitch am I going to do? Probably should have thought about that, hey? Interesting. When I was trying to stab through both layers at once, it was really difficult to do, but when I made an effort to poke through one layer first and then the other layer, it worked a lot better. Oh, it's going to be fiddly trying to make sure I avoid catching the clips as I work my way around. And let's poke the needle in there, and oh, see, it got caught. Come on. I just realized I am sewing with black thread on black leather, and you probably cannot see at all what I'm doing, and I don't mind if this is visible. So I'm going to undo this, cut some new thread, grab a couple of other bits and pieces, and come back to you. I am back with a few extra bits and pieces. I have this thread catcher here that my crafty aunt made for me, so I'm going to chuck these in, and I'm gonna just chuck the leather bits in a little bin I have on my desk, but the thread goes in the thread catcher. If I am finding it still really difficult to see what I'm doing, I'm going to need to use this light, this neck light. Pop that off to the side for now because I don't need it now. And I remembered this other needle threader that I got from a quilt fair earlier this year, which is a wee little birdie. It's got a cutter on its neck. And where's my needle? There. Oh, and I got some more of that heavy duty thread, but in red, and it is thicker than that black thread I was using, and thicker than the orange thread that I used when I stitched the Zoken the other day. Where's my needle? Here. Keep forgetting. Okay. Oops. Huh. Splitting the thread. I think maybe this thread is too thick to go through that eye. Doubled up like that. Let's try the old-fashioned way. Or how about this bigger needle, slightly bigger needle in the middle, has a slightly bigger hole. Let's see if that's more friendly. How long is this video, and I haven't even started stitching? But there will be bits in this that I will be fast forwarding. That worked. Excellent. I can feel that this thread isn't going to be as friendly. It feels a bit like wiry and plasticky like that other thread that I was complaining about. But oh well. Hide. Come on. Hide. Hide inside. Oh, I just remembered that I was supposed to be trying to stab through just one layer at a time to make that easier on myself, but I forgot. Oh, don't catch. I really think I ought to use a thimble for this one, so I've got this leather one here, or this one there that just sits on the end of my finger. I'll keep them both out in case one of them works better for me than the other. Okay, I am hoping that this hem sort of helps everything as well. Helps make things a bit easier. Let's put it on this side so that we can see what we're doing. So I'm hoping that it just makes it easier to stab. I think I want to wear my thimble on this finger because I keep wanting to grab the needle with my pointer and my thumb. I don't know that this wiry fabric is worth it. It keeps catching and just generally sort of not behaving in a way that's making this easy for me, but I'm also just not doing a very good job of sewing, I don't think. Alright, let's try catching. Just gonna let that one go. That's rather clumsy. let's stop trying to make it perfect, shall we? This is not meant to be perfect, it is just meant to be a tool. See how when I pull that tight, it kind of just releases it straight away? I kind of feel like because this thread is so slippy that it just doesn't have any grip, and that's making this sewing job harder. This is not going well so far. Alright, we are ditching that thread. It is not playing very nicely. Goodbye, heavy duty thread. Hello, ordinary thread. Yeah, don't want you. And where's my needle? Come on. Can maybe go back to using the smaller leather needle now. There we go. Actually, I just realized I can do that usual method of starting that I like. And since I'm using a cream colored thread, I'm gonna flip this ham over so that you can hopefully see better what I am doing. If I pop you in there, whoops. Come on. Okay, pull through a loop. Those threads end together and just tighten that up, and then I want to slide the needle closer but not too close to the open ends of thread, and then I can try this again. Alright. So I go through, I come out, and I catch that loop. Ta-da. Okay, where's my thimble? I'm gonna try the leather one. It kind of feels a little bit more comfortable. Alright, so the other thing that I am changing with this is I had been stitching with what I believe is called the blanket stitch or the overcast stitch, but I do actually think that I will be better off with just doing a what's it called? Is it like a ladder stitch? It's probably just like a running stitch. Poke, push, pull up. The thing that I have to be aware of is to just try to make sure that I am not I'm not pulling the needle too far so that my thread gets pulled out of it. Let's poke, push. This tailor's ham idea is working pretty well. Let's just see if now I can poke through that other bit. Oh, I didn't even need the thimble for that one. That's pretty good. Okay. And now I just hope that you stay in place. You know what, actually, what I should do is I should backstitch a little bit to try to hold that in the right spot, because it keeps wanting to move. So if I stab back in there, yep, I think that's going to hold better. I'm ditching these clips. Let's just wing it and try to fold the leather whenever we come to a spot that where there's a wedge cut out. Oh, it is definitely easier to poke into the ham. So I am filming this after dinner, and I had a lovely dessert with my dinner today. I had an apple pie made by a company called Johnny Ripe, which I had heard of before. I'd looked up pies for some reason at some point, and I had seen that this company Johnny Ripe had really good reviews, and they used to have a shop, I believe, and where you could just go in and buy their pies, like a retail shop, but that closed at some point and they started only doing wholesale, which was a bit disappointing, because while they had on their website a list of retailers where you could get their pies, I feel like that isn't necessarily always accurate, that the places will actually still be stocking the pies or have them in stock. So I was pretty pleased when I went to a little general store today that they had some Johnny Ripe little pies, just like single serve sized ones, which is all I needed. I mean, I didn't need pies at all, really. Whoever needs pies, well, they're delicious, so I can see why people need pies. I like that to stab through that layer a bit more. Use the thimble. Yes, so this place that I went to, they only had, that I could see, they only had mince pies and apple pies. And the apple pies they had in a 2-pack, whereas the mince pies they had in I think it was like a 6-pack. And I'm actually not really a fan of mince pies. It's not something that I ever really had growing up, and I think it's one of those things that you maybe had to grow up with to really enjoy. And my partner, who did grow up with them and really likes mince pies, actually agrees with that. He kind of said the other day that he doesn't see how people could like mince pies when they haven't grown up eating them. I don't hate them. I don't think they're that terrible, really. They're just not a flavor that I would really seek out myself. So we didn't get the 6-pack of mince pies because that is too many for my partner to have on his own, and when he is trying to not eat too terribly, as I am trying to do. But they were delicious. They were really good. The crust on them was really nice. He had his in the car because he was drinking a coffee in the car and he wanted to have them together and couldn't wait. But I have this thing about desserts where I mean, depending on the dessert, of course, but I prefer having them heated up wherever I can. Yeah, I like warm desserts. So give me a warmed up cookie, even a warm brownie, a warm slice of cake. Ooh, especially when the cake has some like lovely icing that will melt and sort of soak into what have I done? I need to do, I'm just gonna do another back stitchy thing on this one. Book. I'm so sorry. I feel like because I'm having to poke into the ham that you're not really seeing as much as I usually like to share with you. My apologies. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I like them heated up. So when I had my pie after dinner, I put it in the air fryer just for 2 minutes, and it was deliciously warm. It gave the crust a little bit of its crunch back. I'm sure it would have gotten even more of it back if I had reheated it for longer in the air fryer. But I also don't feel like that was completely necessary because it was just so yum. It was perfect. I really enjoyed it. If you ever see Johnny Ripe pies, I urge you to try them. Or if you've had them, tell me where you got it from. I'd be interested in trying. I believe they make savory pies as well, and I would be interested in trying them. Actually, this place where we saw those pies, we do get sausage rolls from there fairly regularly because they are delicious sausage rolls, and I'm actually wondering now, I reckon they are Johnny Ripe sausage rolls. I didn't realize that sausage rolls were an Australian thing. Although saying that now, I wonder if they are actually like one of those UK things that we have adopted in Australia, or if they are really like an Aussie food thing. Because when I was living in San Francisco, I felt like sausage rolls at some point, but I couldn't find them anywhere. So I made my own. I just found a recipe online. Odds are I found it on taste.com. Is it taste.com or taste.com.au? Anyway, taste. they were really good. Well, I thought they were pretty good, and I brought them to work, I believe, to where I was working, to share with my friends. And it was just this completely new food experience for them, which was kind of fun, that I was able to give them a little taste of Australia. Yeah, the one friend that I still keep in touch with from San Francisco, every now and then she will still message me about the pies. I think, what was it recently? She sent me a reel on Instagram from one of those baking shows where I think they made sausage rolls. Yeah, she enjoyed them, and I was happy that I could share that with her. Look at that. That is a lot more of a bowl than I imagined it being. I wonder if I should now still go ahead and sort of secure this further by wrapping it around. I'm gonna try it. And I think it will just look nicer too. But also, let's see if now that it is all more secure and that I am using this softer thread that doesn't kink back on itself, let's see if I can get this here blanket stitch thingy-mabob working. Do I still need the thimble? It's getting in my way. I really don't find thimbles comfortable to use. I probably could have done that stitch smaller. Let's do the next one smaller, shall we? I'm gonna run out of thread before I finish, but that's fine. Oops, don't want to pull it through. I'll just get a new bit of thread and continue blanket stitching. Why is that wanting to go around the back instead of the front? Should I actually be stabbing in from the front rather than the back to do this blanket stitch business? Will that mean it wants to come towards the front? Do I really care where it is? Probably not. What a bodgy little thimble this is going to be, but I don't care. Oops, forgot. Whenever I stitch with it, it'll just be a nice memory of doing these vlogmases with you, and all of the messing about and fumbling about and trying new things and experimenting that I am so very much enjoying doing with you guys. And that I hope you are enjoying doing with me too. I do apologize though. I know that there are comments on some of my previous days that I haven't responded to. The last couple of days have just been so busy that I haven't gotten around to it, but I will, I promise. Sure you all understand that life right now is just quite busy. I'm trying to poke in between so that I can hide this thread end inside and get myself a new bit of thread. Although I don't want that to come undone, so I should probably just do a little back stitch. Something like that. Just to try something different, I'm going to pop this needle, this leather needle away, and I kind of wonder if a normal needle will actually be enough to go through the leather. I want to try. See these really sharp looking needles here? These, I have so many, like, so many different needle thready things because threading needles is such a pain. I find it such a pain. So I keep finding all these other methods of threading needles. And this one here, can you see that funny, I don't think I can really get it to focus on it because it wants to focus on my nail, but see the top of this, yeah, see that funny shape of that eye? That is so that you can do this. And now that's threaded. Isn't that clever? I can't remember where I got these from. And I don't know if that mechanism has a name. Oh, I just realized I can't be bothered rethreading it, but I can't do my usual loop-de-loop that I do to catch the ends. I'll just do a knot. The thing with that other method is that way of just catching the loop when you start is easier for getting started, but it makes the actual stitching, you just have to be more aware of pulling your needle too far, of not pulling your needle too far, and it makes the finishing a little bit fiddlier. Whereas this method of actually tying a knot makes the knot part a little bit more fiddly, but the rest of it is much easier because you can just yank without worrying that your needle is going to slip out. Oh, that is struggling. Oh my gosh. I guess the leather needle really does make a difference on leather. Who would have thunk it? And why is that wanting to go to the back again? I have a feeling as well, like the other thing that I couldn't find in the US and that I hadn't realized was an Aussie or possibly UK specific dish is meat pies. And it's just interesting because to me they are just such a staple. We always used to have meat pies in the freezer because they're such a good, easy dinner option when you can't be bothered cooking. Just heat up a meat pie in the oven, add some sauce and some salad or chips, hot chips, and that is an excellent meal. But that was before we started trying to eat healthier and switched to doing light and easy meals. I need to go back to that. I miss the leather needle. Yeah, this is a pretty messy looking contraption. But it was definitely a lot easier doing the running stitch initially, just to have everything held in place, and then doing this very, very sloppy blanket stitch afterwards to try to secure the edges a little bit. Blanket stitch, overcast stitch. It feels like an overcast stitch, but are they different names for the same thing? Is it one of those situations? On the other hand, while I was there, I feel like there were things that I wouldn't have expected to see there that were there. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I have a feeling they were chocolatey things, like maybe they had Tim Tams or something like that, that I had thought were Australian. Oh, come on. Oh, I need to stop using this needle. It is not being friendly. Let's just secure it and be done with it. Use the right tools. Okay, goodbye, handy little needle, handy little easy threadable needle. Hello, stabby leather needle. I keep forgetting where I stab the needle. Oops, wasn't hanging on properly. I think I'm going to stick with tying knots for this project, just because it is quite a difficult material to work with, leather that is. It's really easy to just give my needle and thread a good yank to pull it through, and that is a risk because I don't want to have to constantly be re-threading the needle. I know that there are fancy tricks that you can do for easily threading needles. There's like some fancy quilter's knot thing where you wrap the thread around the needle and then just push it down, and lo and behold, it forms a knot and somehow forms it really close to the end, exactly where you want it. And I have tried it and it does work. I have no idea how, but I only just remembered it as I was tying those knots there, so I wasn't able to do it for this project. Now, the other thing about this that's probably going to be a lot fiddlier than what I expect or hope it will be is getting that elastic back in there, back in those slots that I cut at the start. See that little tiny loop of loose thread there? That's going to be annoying. I would worry that that would catch a needle or something when I'm actually using this to stitch. So I just wanted to go and pull that tight. Why aren't you? Does anyone know if it matters which way you are catching your loop when you do this stitch? Like, does it matter if you are going in from the front to the back? Does it matter if you are catching the loop of the thread from front to back or back to front? I feel like when I was doing it back to front, so the opposite way of which I was poking my needle through, I feel like that was forming like a looser stitch. But then see how now that I've gone back to front, it twists that loop there, kind of like knitting through the back loop. I kind of feel like that's producing like a firmer stitch, like it's holding better. Woohoo, I'm back at the start with another loose loop. Okay, just gonna go over that first area again. If I wanted this to be really, really secure, I could totally just do another go around and form legs of stitches in between the stitches that I have already done, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is find my bit of elastic, try to thread it through, and I was wondering if I actually should sew it in somehow. I don't think I can be bothered, but we shall see. Alright, that's gone in fine. Will it come out the other side? if I just pop that the other way. Yes. Oh yes, that has worked. It's made that a little bit bulky, but that's fine. So my options here are, I could check how big this loop needs to be, and let's do this, make this a bit easier to show you. So if I cut this elastic shorter and sew those together, then I have a fixed size loop. Or the easier option that I was sort of planning for, but I am not sure actually if this contraption will fit 2 layers of this thick elastic. Let us see. Come on. Oh yeah, it's also kind of like the ribs, I feel like, are catching on themselves. I wonder if this is one of those situations where a safety pin would come in handy. Do I have a safety pin? Got one of these light bulb stitch markers that are very popular. Let's see if this works. I have a feeling that actually even the head of this safety pin will be too fat. So if I push that down, poke that through, alright, well that bit went in alright. If I could just push the edges in, will it play nice? Yes, okay, I've got it in. Okay. Oh, see, because like the ribs want to catch on each other, it's wanting to take the other end with it, this other end. It's hard to, oh yeah, it just pulled that out. So I think to make sure that that doesn't happen, I would have to fold this over and stitch that down so that it can't fit through the hole. But if I'm already going to be stitching that, then I may as well just get the size that I need and stitch it to the right size. So let's do that. So if that's my finger, I want it to have a little bit of overlap. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, there are about 4 ridges of overlap that I want if I cut it here. I don't want to use my good scissors to cut this stiff elastic. Let's hope this works. Did I secure this knot? I don't think I did. Let's just go ahead and do that. Be lazy and make an actual knot. And then go inside. Come on, get in there. Why don't you want to go in any further, needle? Have you caught on something? The elastic, perhaps? Oh no, you're just trying to poke through the leather in a place that I don't want you to. Ooh, do I remember what that fancy trick was? That fancy way. That worked. That's so awesome. Okay. Alright, let's go inside here. I think I can cut that a bit shorter to make it easier to hide. Okay. And overlap it by 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is so small. And I just realized I probably don't need the leather. What's happening here? Probably don't need the leather needle for this. But oh well. I don't know if because it is sharp, I don't know if that's helping, because it can poke through easy. Yeah, because it is sharp, or if because it is thick, if that's getting in my way. I'm just going to stitch like a square and then across and hope that that is going to be secure enough. Why does this... Oh, have I poked through the thread? Have I? No, it's just being annoyingly stubborn. What's it catching on? What are you catching on? There we go. Okay. I was just pulling the wrong thread. And it still wants to do that. Why, thread, why? Why? There we go. Again, pulling on the wrong thread. Oh, it's just going to do it every time, isn't it? I think it has something to do with the way the thread twists. But I don't actually know where did that come out there, so I don't want to go in here. And then in here. And then I kind of want to try to trap these ugly ends in. It's not exactly where I want it to come out. Yeah, that'll do. There, and now those threads aren't poking out where I did not want them. I'm making the cross. I kind of just felt like this this shape seemed to me like it's the easiest quickest and easiest shape to form something secure. Kind of because, you know, when you see where bag straps are sewn into bags and things, I feel like you often see this configuration. So I guess I associate this shape with security, with something strong in a place that is going to get a lot of wear. Oopsies. And I'm just doing the cross part again because I still have some extra thread that I may as well keep using. Oh, what a mess this is. I think I should leave it there. Okay, so I've just turned that inside out, and I'm just going to try to do one of those dodgy little knots again. And then go in. Trying to go out the middle in between those two layers of elastic. Yes, there we are. And then pulling that a bit and snipping it so that hopefully that little thread end hides. There you have it. My thimble. Where'd I put the needle? So if I grab one of these sashiko needles out and imagine, I don't want to ruin it with the leather, let's use my glasses cloth, cleaning cloth here. So you can imagine that I stitch, I hold the needle with my middle finger and thumb, and yes, look at that, it's pushing against the leather, it is not slipping. And then I can just push. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with it. It's working perfectly, exactly how I wanted it to. I was thinking that ideally it would have sat a bit lower down because I feel like when I stitch, my needle wants to go here, but the center of my circle is up here. But I didn't want to cut the slits for this elastic too close to the edge because I'd be worried that that would tear more easily there. So that is nice and snug on my finger. That's not going to slip around. Hopefully it's not too snug actually. But there you go, there's my thimble, my little bowl-shaped thimble. Friends, thank you once again for your patience and bearing with me while I fumble and blunder my way through these little craft projects. I would also completely understand if you have just jumped to get ahead to the Advent unboxing. Today is another EleventyOne Windmills day, and I am very excited because the Notions Advent is something big in a box. I was just thinking when I was looking for which packet it was that I'd be very amused if somehow it was a thimble, when that is the thing that we have just made today. But that is highly unlikely because you don't use thimbles in knitting or crochet, really. So let's see what this is. Just from that handle there, I have a suspicion that it's going to be another one of those whatchamacallits, cordsmiths. Let's see if I'm right. Haha, it is, and it is beautiful. Oh, look at that. How pretty is that? And it's my favorite color, green, and it has like a really nice like weight to it. Like it feels really nice and solid in the hand. It is just so beautifully done. Gorgeous. And the other thing as well is the hooks. Are they smaller than my other one? I think the hooks, I don't know if you can tell, but the hooks are slightly smaller. Does that help? The hooks are slightly smaller in this new one than they are in my cat and sparrow one, and they are also spaced more closely together. So that makes me think that this one will be better for finer yarns, and this one will probably be able to handle thicker yarns. So possibly I'd use this one. This, oh, it just looks and feels so beautiful, seriously. Possibly for fingering weight yarn and smaller, and then this cat and sparrow one possibly for sport weight yarn, I-cords, and bigger. Oh, love it. Thank you, Lisa, I love it. That one didn't come with a inspiration card. But this is such an excellent sturdy little box. I'm going to keep it nestled in there, but if it ever doesn't live in this beautiful box, I will keep the box because it's also still just a lovely box. If I ever gift anything small and I can peel that sticker off without tearing the box, then that'd make quite a nice gift box as well. Anyway, time for the stitch marker and the yarn. So the inspiration for today's stitch marker is a sloth. Cute. Why are sloths so popular? Guess it's because we all enjoy being lazy. What an adorable little guy or girl. And the yarn inspiration card is ring-tailed lemur. I'm amused that both of the inspiration cards today have made me think of movies. So in the sloth, my mind immediately went to Zootopia, where the DMV is run by sloths. And then the ring-tailed lemur makes me think of Madagascar. Let's pull out the yarn. Ta-da! Oh, that is gorgeous. Gorgeous shades of black. What kind of brown would you say that is? Is that kind of like copperish? Beautiful. Oh, and it is by Three Cats Yarn, who has been taking the year off and will hopefully be back to properly dyeing yarn for people to buy next year. Beautiful. And I haven't pulled out all of the previous days because I realized yesterday that they're going to be too many for me to hold and show you in one hand. So I'm going to stop doing that. I'll just show you at the end all of them lined up. But that is a beauty. That is a beauty. And my beautiful cordsmith that I have put in its box is a beauty. Everything's a beauty except for this ugly thing. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a lovely night. There is actually an inspiration card for the cordsmith. It was just stuck in the box. But wild vines? Wild vines.